All right, guys, something I want to talk about that has been coming up in a lot of lessons lately that there's a little bit of miscommunication with. I figured maybe it would help if we kind of just do a video on this, is the correlation between wrist angles and how that affects how your club face is. So what I mean by that is this. Let's just assume in terms of wrist angles, we keep it super simple. If with your left wrist, you're going to have some sort of hinge motion during your backswing and downswing. You sort of hinge it up during your backswing, you unhinge it during your downswing. The trick here is that how much hinge you have is also correlated with your other wrist angles, which are flexion this way or a bow, and extension this way or a cup, okay? The short version is this: the more I hinge my wrists up like this, the more cup or extension I have automatically. The more I unhinge my lead wrist, the less cup I have, more flat, more bowed. Now, why any of this is important is for a couple different reasons. One, during your downswing, I see a lot of people, well, two things. During the backswing, try and really add a lot of hinge here this way. Now, what's the one problem with that? If I add a lot of hinge during the backswing, what did I say is going to happen? The more I hinge, the more cup I have in my lead wrist. Now, most of you guys watching this video know that I don't like that. It's not a good thing. What the cup does, all else equal, is makes your club face more open. Okay, that's one thing. Now, if I made my backswing and I didn't hinge at all, so if I had zero hinge, what does my lead wrist look like there? Pretty flat when I go back. That's going to be correlated with a club face that's very square during my backswing. So flat left wrist, no hinge, very square club face. If I add as much hinge as I can, I'm going to get some cup. The club face is going to be open. That's part number one. So people that are trying to add a ton of hinge to the backswing, club face is going to be more open. Number two, during the downswing, a lot of people are obsessed with this, trying to have this lag, right? So having this angle very tight. The problem is, the bigger this angle is here, the tighter this angle is, depending on how you look at it, the more hinge I need to have in my left wrist, which also means the more cup I need to have in my left wrist. So if you guys would watch this, that angle would look really good. Like I have a ton of lag there. The problem again is going to be that lead wrist is still extended, club face too far open. If I have the opposite look where I am very unhinged here early and still keep this lead wrist flat here, now my club face is very manageable and very square to my form of my lead wrist compared to if I have a ton of hinge here, right? So again, less hinge, lead wrist more flat, club face more square. More hinge, lead wrist more extended, club face more open. The next part during the downswing is if I try and really hold this angle or have a lot of hinge here and I have this cup again, look at how my club is coming into the ball. Super vertical and going to be high and outside. So all you guys that try and keep this angle or hold this hinge during the downswing are probably going to be guys that struggle with curving the ball too far to the right. And conversely, if I came down and I had no hinge whatsoever, so very flat lead wrist, very unhinged, you see how that club head gets delivered from lower and more inside. Which one of these looks more like guys that hit the ball really well and play on tour? This here or that there? That's second option. This is no good. This is high and outside, face open, ton of hinge, a lot of lag. This is the opposite of that. But if you were looking from face on, here's the good one, here's the bad one. Which one looks like I have more lag? This one does, right? So something I want you guys to think about when you're playing and practicing is hinge amounts, and get out of trying to have this big angle when you come down. What are you going to do with all that from there? The club face is too open, the club's too vertical, you have almost no chance. Let this be unhinged. Let the club head work from low and inside. Use your body and your pivot to square the club face up. So that's a little bit more technical than most of our videos. Let me know if you guys have any questions with that. But again, one more time, more hinge up means more cup. If you can't get rid of your cup at the top of your backswing, unhinge it a little bit, right? If I unhinge my wrist, there's no cup there anymore. It's very flat. So some of you guys come in and send me videos all the time, well, I can't get rid of that cup. It's because you have so much hinge here, right? It's because you have this amount of hinge at the top. And then of course you have cup. So boom, unhinge it, no more cup. So hope that makes sense. Let us know if you have any questions.